Hi, I'm Kelsey of Nested Sleep. Thank you so much for joining today. Today I'm going to talk about a hot topic about kids and sleep, and that's discussing the use of melatonin. So recently the CDC published some new data from the US Poison Control Centers over the last decade. And there has been a drastic increase in the amount of unintentional overdoses in the use of melatonin, and overall the use of melatonin in children has jumped up drastically. This has seen the biggest jump within 2020, so right during the pandemic. Children are having sleep issues, parents are stressed, they're jumping to what they think is a good quick fix, and that is the use of melatonin. So the recent data from the CDC is talking about the unintentional overdoses of melatonin and the causes that can have for kids, including hospitalizations and occasionally even death. But this also kind of brings to light all of the uses of melatonin, so the intentional uses of melatonin too, and the importance of safety and just talking about the use of melatonin in kids. So first, let's talk about those unintentional uses of melatonin. So this means that there was melatonin in the home. So again, it could have been used for an intentional purpose at some point, and then the child has unintentionally overdosed. So here are some important things to know really with all medication in children, and that is the safety measures you're going to want to take. And so with all medications in kids, you're going to want to have a top that is on your medication that is childproof, so they cannot very easily open it, okay? You're also going to want to treat any kind of supplement you have as a medication. So you're going to be putting this high up out of reach of your child so they are not getting any of this medication. That's just kind of that unintentional overdoses. We want to try to prevent that. Now let's talk about melatonin as a whole. What is melatonin? Our body does create it, but what is it? So melatonin is a hormone that our bodies create, our brain creates, in an area of the brain called the pineal gland. And that area creates this melatonin, and melatonin helps to regulate and set our circadian rhythm, or our body clock. Now, infants, less than about 3 months or so, this area in the brain is not actually developed yet. So the infants actually secrete very little amounts of melatonin. And actually, as older children and adults, we actually secrete pretty low amounts of melatonin from a daily basis. So in terms of supplements, actually almost all supplements, even at a very low dose of the common doses of 1 to 5 milligrams, are actually 10 to 100 times more melatonin than our bodies would actually secrete on a daily basis. So that's something to keep in mind. Just because our body creates it does not mean that the supplement is equal to what our body is creating, okay? Now, melatonin is really regulated by the amount of light, or when your body is exposed to light. That's what's affecting your circadian rhythm and telling your body when to secrete that melatonin. So there are ways to alter our body and treat when we're actually falling asleep without actually taking a supplement, okay? Now, when we think about melatonin as a supplement, there are a couple things we want to know. For one, supplements in America are not regulated by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. So supplements do not have to have really strict control measures, but what is in fact in a supplement, okay? So what that means is that some brands of melatonin, that pill or that gummy or that liquid, may actually contain other products in it in addition to melatonin. You've probably seen that if you do even look on the label. A lot of them will include other things such as vitamin D or magnesium, other things that maybe have been shown to help sleep or maybe not, but those can be in the supplement. Now, because it's a supplement and not regulated by the FDA, they do not have to put on the label everything that is in that supplement. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And one brand and one dose is not created equal. And so what that means is that sometimes you may have one gummy, even in the same package, and then the next gummy, and those may have very different milligrams or amount of melatonin. It's probably still within a range, but it could vary quite drastically. And so that's something to keep in mind, that each gummy may contain actually a different dose of melatonin. So that's like just looking at the supplement itself, okay? And then just big picture, is it safe for your child, okay? And so melatonin, there's both short-term use of melatonin and long-term use of melatonin. Now, when we think about short-term use of melatonin, that's going to be things such as travel, it could be time change, things that are affecting your body clock that you're going to want to help get back on track. Now, they do believe, and a lot of different organizations have said, that short-term use of melatonin is likely okay for your child as long as you've discussed it with your child's provider. And why is that step necessary if it is believed to be safe? Well, that's because there are a number of different diagnoses that your child may have, or different other medications or supplements that they may be on that could have an interaction or could have an effect on each other. So it's always important to talk to your child's provider before giving a supplement to your child. And that really goes for all supplements, not just for melatonin. They're also going to provide you with what dose may be necessary for your child, because again, there is a big range of that. And then you have long-term use of melatonin. Unfortunately, there have not been a lot of studies for long-term use of melatonin, but there are some studies in children with autism and ADHD, and certain particular groups of children may benefit from some long-term use of melatonin. But again, talk with your child's provider. You are always going to, regardless of any diagnosis you have, you're going to want to treat why your child actually does have insomnia. And there's a lot of evidence on this for both children and adolescent and adult insomnia that you're going to want to treat with behavioral interventions before going to other types of medications. And that's because you're going to want to treat why you truly have insomnia or a challenging time falling asleep. And oftentimes you don't want to buffer the issue, you don't want to cover up the issue with a supplement, because it's going to be hard to wean off or take off a supplement of daily use if you haven't treated that underlying insomnia or underlying reason that your child can't fall back asleep or fall asleep at bedtime. And so that's kind of the overview of the use of melatonin in children, the safety measures you're going to want to take. And if you have any questions about treating your child's behavioral insomnia, want to talk through, please give me a call, book a discovery call, and we'll talk about different ways to help get your child to sleep without the use of long-term supplements. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more Nested Sleep YouTube tips.